Weren't you trying to get out because of Corona? Because I think you were like you wanted to be involved in helping or what? Wasn't?
Yeah, I mean, I know how to make drugs. I'm a farmer, bro, right? I mean, like that's my thing. And it would have been nice to help make a medicine. Obviously, Pfizer, Merck, and all those companies did a good enough job. So
Danny actually had a pretty good point that he was saying.
Oh yeah, like what do you think of like all the, because you go on Twitter and there's so many like people who like kind of hate you, and then their bio is just like House of Pfizer. Have you seen that? How people will put that and they're like, you've never seen that? So there's like all these generally all like super like liberal people. Their vaccine, they'll be like, if they're Pfizer vaccine, like it's like they wear it as like a badge of honor. They go like House of Pfizer, but they'll be like the same people who like shit on you.
But they also shit on the drug companies for being.
They don't. Though.
No, they don't. They're like loyal.
It's
they're
switched.
Like,
yeah,
they have like Pfizer tattoos
this?
and stuff. These people are
because
crazy.
it became like vaccine became like I'm left wing. I have the vaccine.
Yeah, and I'm a pro-vaccine person, and I'm a Republican. So like for me, it's like, or at least something of a Republican. I'm not like some Trumper or something like that, or like. I mean, we could talk politics if you want, but like,
we can in a second. I'm not some like pharmaceutical thing.
Yeah, so like, I don't have a deep political allegiance, but like to me, the vaccine thing just makes sense. But yeah, I always thought that the left hated pharmaceutical companies for being rapacious, greedy jerks, and now they love them because it became. Or I guess you're saying they love them.
That's what happened. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I think it actually, like, what saddens me the most is like I always viewed the pharma industry and biotech as like an awesome industry that always got this bad rap, and like it seems like no matter what it does, it's always going to get a bad rap, and I didn't help that cause very much, but or Purdue, the Sacklers didn't help it, and the
Sacklers aren't doing any favors.
What are the Sacklers do?
The fucking OxyContin, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't do so great. I still get blamed for diabetes, like insulin, EpiPen, like drugs I have nothing to do with. I still get blamed for that all the time. So I'm like biotech Jesus, like I'm dying for everybody's sins.
Well, I have a question, by the way. Yeah. The drug, the main one, that was for the cat thing? That's for the...
Yes!
It is, right?
Yes. You know that. Yeah, not many people know that.
It's for like crazy cat ladies.
Yes!
His drug?
Yeah.
Alex Stein.
Yeah. You know what Alex Stein is?
No,
he's the guy who does those crazy. He's like loves cats, but he does those crazy. Like he'll go to city council meetings and he does these like raps and stuff. He's like he got in a whole thing with AOC yesterday. If you go look at AOC's,
oh man, sounds like I love this guy.
A huge beef with AOC.
Oh my god, I heard about this.
Yeah, that's the guy. But he's like
So what does the cat drug do?
Sleeps with 5 cats on his bed, and I tell him that he has toxoplasmosis, and he says
there's a disease called toxoplasmosis, which is. That's the other funny part is it's very, very, very fucking rare. And like everyone would be like, Shkreli raised the price on drug that millions of people need to survive. I was like, millions of people need this thing to survive. Explain to me how, only 2,000 people take it. So it was just such a bizarre thing because only 2,000 people ever took our drug.
And they're all crazy cat ladies.
No, so basically the cat is like the definitive host for toxoplasmosis, which is a parasite, which is hilarious because like, fucking cat, and toxoplasmosis affects people who have a compromised immune system. So mostly people with AIDS.
Okay.
These days, AIDS is very, very rare, right? There's like 50 different antiretrovirals. So like, in fact,
most people don't go from HIV to AIDS. Yeah.
No, and in fact, having HIV today is, like I say, it's
super normal. It's very livable.
Well, they recently, if you're on like whatever the thing, like you don't even have to disclose it legally anymore because it can't be transmitted.
Yeah, it's quite treated well. It's very well treated now. Like I'm not going to say I would like it or that.
No, of course not.
But it's man, it's just not the like people used to be like, oh man, that'd be the worst thing ever. So
I mean, it was a death sentence at one point.
Right. Like 10 or 20 years from now, I bet you. Or even 30 years from now, I bet you people are going to be like, oh man, I got chlamydia or I got gonorrhea. People are going to be like, oh man, I test, I'm HIV positive. It's crazy, man. Like,
and your wife's like, that still means you're fucking a guy. Like, what's going on here?
What do you think about monkeypox?
I don't know a lot about it. So the funny thing about coronavirus is that for like decades, me and my Wall Street friends would short like every pandemic stock because there was always this fear of this, like the big one's coming. And it'd be like, it's going to blow over. And, so this happened.
Did any of them get fucking torched?
Well, H1N1, swine flu, like all these big pandemics that were supposed to be bad, like they all died out. Even the former coronaviruses, like MERS and SARS, like those, like MERS and SARS were like, they went away so fast, like 60 people died of MERS. So we're like, oh man, coronavirus is gonna be the same shit. Like there's no way this thing is gonna transmit and take over the world. Like, and of course that's exactly what happens. So I think nobody really saw this coming, and nobody saw that mRNA vaccines would work, because that was like also voodoo in Wall Street and pharma. Like everyone was like, mRNA, come on, man.
Was that really like before that was just a pie in the sky kind of like?
It was a total joke, like, because DNA and RNA are so molecularly charged and unstable that you can't just take them. Like it just doesn't work that way. And they kind of found a way to like wrap it in this fat and then also change one of the pieces of the RNA. It's kind of a miracle that it works. And the funniest part of all is that it works better than any other possible thing, which is like, it's stunning. It's like a modern miracle. And you still have
thought the vaccines were gonna come some other way.
Some other way. Yeah. I definitely didn't think mRNA was gonna work. And because it never worked before. And people have tried to make DNA-based or RNA-based drugs for 50 years. And there have been a couple of small breakthroughs, but not like a general purpose, like this works now.
Do you think there was just so much money in it? Is that part of it?
No, I think people just tried and failed and failed and failed. It was just a tough mousetrap. And
no, but I mean now, like once the pandemic happened, like obviously,
like how did it line up?
The amount of R&D like going into this.
Well, didn't Moderna apparently, like when they got the sequencing for it, like they had their essentially what was the vaccine like a week later?
Yeah, that's the cool thing about DNA and RNA is it's so modular that you just change the code, right? So you just need a technique to get it inside the cell, and most cells are like they're this like repellent shield, or like anything charged or anything big, positive or negative charge, or anything large, it's not coming in. And that's been like the canon for decades and decades, and that's why they all failed. It's they're too big, they're too bulky, they're too positively charged, and then all of a sudden this thing worked. It's not going to work for everything, but it certainly like these things go to the liver, and the liver is like the garbage disposal, right? It just takes in everything, like whatever your body, whatever trash you ingest, like liver's like, bring it on, man, I got you. And it's just constantly metabolizing everything. So it's not a surprise that they can sneak a little bit of mRNA into the liver, but to get into the brain, to get into the lungs, to get into wherever, it's still going to be a challenge. So I think it's important technology. It's really cool. It's just frustrating to me as kind of like a pseudoscientist or a guy who was in the scientific, at least, industry.
Damn, you consider yourself a pseudoscientist? You should see what our comment section looks like.
Just any comment section.
Or any comment section. But if you're
like I actually have publications, U.S. patents, world patents. I've invented drugs. I've run drug companies. I know a little bit about this stuff, but it's I still want to respect my really successful colleagues who are fantastic. But like it saddens me to see like people like challenge this shit. Like,
so you think that the people like, do you think that there was an in between where it's, sometimes it was being oversold when it wasn't? And
possibly, yeah, possibly. I would say though that the guy who's sitting there with his arms crossed being like, no, man, I'm not taking that shit. Like, dude, like when you're like your toilet breaks down, you don't fix it. Like you call a plumber. And
I bet but I guess the argument is like the government doesn't say that, if you don't come and fix your toilet, we're putting you in jail or whatever.
I'm saying that. Your neighbor's gonna say that.
I imagine guys in jail couldn't have been like that kind of guy couldn't have been too, because I feel like the guys that don't like the government is usually my friends that are most against the vaccine.
What was the vaccine policy there? Like,
you could take it if you wanted, but
mandatory.
Not mandatory.
Well, yeah, they're like, hey, you can't take it if you can't. Just so you know, you can't fly if you don't take it.
It's funny you say that.
You're gonna lose your job in the mailroom.
I mean, we're both from Canada, where like that was really happening. Up until recently, you couldn't fly within Canada if you weren't vaccinated. Like up until like a month ago.
As a libertarian, I think that's crazy, right? Like people have freedom. You can't hold somebody down and inject them. Like unless it's like smallpox and people are literally dropping like flies, in which case you probably want the shot at that point. But like, I think that it's still sad to see people like deny expertise and like deny
I think anything just gets politicized, and then it's not it's just about it's another thing on the right or the left side, right?
It's sad. Like, imagine having a kid and you go to your pediatrician. Your pediatrician's like, yeah, listen, MMR vaccine this day, this vaccine that day, this vaccine that day, and you're like, nope.
Yeah,
we went to school.
Well, people. I guess people do that with like.
I mean, I did a stand-up show at the Stand like 3 weeks ago with that guy Alex Stein, and it was Robert Kennedy Jr. Like our RFK Jr. has this like it's this charity that's like for helping kids, but it's just like they're an anti-vax like group, and they're just like their thing is like we help kids, but they're just like no vaccines for kids. That's like how they help kids or whatever.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, they're out there,
When it comes to health, I guess people take it really personally, and obviously, I have like a bias. I'm pharmaceutical evangelist, but it is what it is. But it's just again like you don't open up a circuit board and you're like, all right, let me get my soldering iron and figure this out. Like it's just like it's the same thing. Like it really is like this is a technical, difficult field that is really not for everybody. And I spent my whole life studying it, and I still don't know everything about everything. Nobody does. But how could you just sort of like just be like, yeah, no, I don't care what any experts are going to say. I'm going to make up my own mind. So,
I guess it kind of what happens is with anything though. It's like once there's something that they want to happen, it's like the scientists just like anyone else get in line. I mean, just in like any industry where you go, hey, this is what we're doing. Like just in comedy, you go, hey, this is what we want right now. It's like lo and behold, everyone thinks that now, right? So it's like
yeah, that's true.
I think things just naturally have their
and people are contrarian. Some people are just naturally contrarian. You tell them anything and they go no.
And some people aren't. Yeah, exactly. So
and I'm kind of like that. Like I'm literally that. But for me, there's a line I think one has to draw at some point. Like again, if I had to do my own heart surgery, I'd be like, wake up in the middle of it and be like, hey, bro, you're cutting the wrong place. It's a couple millimeters down. Here, give me that. Let me do it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. It's like just stop. It's crazy. But it is what it is. Like. I also understand the other opinion, and I think, but like when people sort of say stuff like, "Oh, the vaccine wasn't tested," or "What about this side effect?" I'm like, dude, this isn't your thing. Like, just stop. You sound like an idiot. Like you're not a doctor. Like you don't know what a p-value is. Like you're not.
That'd be funny if like Martin was out there kind of saying this stuff, and then like all the like liberal blogs had to like be like put you on a pedestal now because
they're just gonna have to ignore that one. They go,
strange bedfellows, man. Really strange bedfellows.
That's I mean, you can make a comeback pretty quick if you agree with one of their things a lot.
Yeah, if you want to do like a change my mind, like a Crowder kind of thing, but you're pro-vaccine.
I would love to.
Dude, you'd be friends with Vice again. Fellas, this is the New Clips channel. Right now, we're at 3K. Hit us with a subscribe. Let's get those numbers up. Very much appreciated. Let's get to 5K at the very least. All right. Thank you. Peace.